Welcome back to my ship's opinion videos. This time I will be covering the Constitution, which you see here, the NX class, and the Oberth, three of the ones that you can buy in place of the light cruiser. I will not be covering the Kumari or the Steamrunner simply because I do not have either and don't feel like buying them, to be perfectly honest. So we'll start with the Constitution beta version, which they actually recently added in as a more direct homage to the way the Constitution originally appears. And so I'll also be pointing out some differences. But as you see, it's got the little points on the nacelles, and they aren't the little glowing, spinny ones that you're used to. But I mean, yeah, this is the Constitution. There's also a little bit of a difference with the impulse engine right there. One little known fact, these are actually landing struts. While not canon, although it did appear in the reboot, the Constitution does have saucer separation capacity, at which point it separates right along this line right here. Then whenever it can't take back off, just like the Galaxy class one. Actually, come to think of it, I don't think any were actually designed to take back off. The Galaxy was the first one designed to reattach without the need of a starbase. This wouldn't need a starbase to reattach. So, for the sake of comparing things, let's switch over to the Constitution. The first thing I noticed, the deflector dish gets smaller. Let's do more of a front view. This might show it better. And it takes up a bigger area. There's where it is right now. It goes to right about there or bigger. So that's the first thing I notice. Again, there's the obvious, the spinning Bussard collectors, assuming that's what they are on this version. There's also end caps on the back of the nacelle, which I know I'm spinning this at weird angles, but as opposed to this grill right here. And on the one that you see most, that's filled in. Well, here it's hollow. And there's also the same part right here. Not quite sure what they're for, but just, you know, it's just to look at, I guess. Let's see here, any other differences on the back? Like I pointed out, the impulse engines are different. But other than that, I don't see any back differences. It looks like the bridge might be sitting higher up. Let's do a side view. Yeah, because there's, right now this is the main one, like that Kirk flew, or captained rather, it was Sulu that flew it. Yeah, the bridge does sit a little higher up. Then, also one thing I noticed is the stripes right here are present on the original version, but not on whenever they redid it to put it further into the series. The landing struts are darker. Basically everything that's gray is darker, and in some cases non-existent. The windows are also placed a little differently, but not by much. And I know I'm just rapidly switching back and forth, but I noticed there, right here, there's nothing, but when you switch, there is. Plus there's also that ring right there. I don't really see it. I don't remember where the torpedo launchers are on this, but and of course you got the shuttle bay, which, you know, is standard on any ship. I think that's some sort of observation dome. This is definitely a sensor dome. But anyway, I will now be moving on to the Oberth. Okay, and so here we have the Oberth, which, I mean, it's a really weird design. That's just my personal opinion, at least. But when you look at it, let's see here, looks like the nacelles can be changed. I'll get to that in a second. It's like it's like they had, I'm not even sure what to make of this. They had the underslung section right here, which really just doesn't seem very practical. I mean, maybe if it was detachable as a cargo pod or something, it would make sense, but it's just one of the weirder designs you see that actually came out of the original and is canon. So, I don't remember this. This came out on Next Generation, I believe. Actually, was the Oberth? Where did the Oberth earliest appear? Did it show up in the movies? I don't know. But, I mean, I know quite a bit, but I'm no expert, I'll admit that. So you've just got this long pod right here that doesn't really have any windows, so I have no idea what it is. Maybe it's the engineering section. Like, I'm not sure if that seems wide enough to have a turbo lift. Now you can see what weapons hardpoint right here that the game put in. Then you got, I'm assuming this is the primary, what would be the equivalent of the primary hull. It's kind of flattened on the bottom half, like they cut the bottom half on one, just stuck it on here. Got the bridge up here. The nacelles have like a fin design on them that honestly kind of looks neat. This whole ship looks kind of neat, honestly, and weird at the same time. And you got your impulse engine right here. I don't see any discernible shuttle base, though. Looks like the impulse goes through there. I don't know. That doesn't look like a shuttle bay right here. Then, I mean, yeah, there's really not much to say on this design. It's just flattened. As far as the nacelles, the dart just just does that. It makes it so that there's no glow on it. So I guess I will move on to the NX. So here we have the NX class, which, you know, for those of you that don't know, it appeared in Star Trek Enterprise. And later, actually, well, non-canonically, or at least not alpha canon, got refitted with an underslung pod right here, which the game does actually have, but unfortunately, looking at it on this view, I cannot put on. Otherwise, I would. But it's, you know, it's got the standard saucer right here, and then I think it's like A through E deck. You know, bridges on top. It's got like the pylons for the nacelles. I think that's a warp field stabilizer. I don't know if they ever actually explained what this thing back here is. Let's do a top-down view real quick. And you've got like airlocks right here, I think they are. And like there's docking hardpoints there. The nacelles have that grill on them that later was removed. Like, I mean, if actually there's, can you really remove holes? That was later covered up. Because if you look back at the Constitution class, it's just completely covered. And actually, I think whenever the sorry about the air conditioner. Whenever the refit was done, it covered those also. Of course, you also got the little spinning caps on the nacelles that I don't think I ever noticed that they spin opposite ways, but that makes sense. Then a really neat feature right here is right there. I think that's actually an eject spot for the warp core, because I believe that's engineering right there. Then right there you got the shuttle bay, because the NX class drops down the shuttle pods. Another neat thing they did, even though this for the game they refitted it with phasers, is those are the drop down points, or those are the torpedo launchers, I believe. I think they might also be the drop down points for the phase cannons. Either that or it's those two spots right there. And you've got two more right there. Yeah, I think these spots right here are the phase cannons. So there's one right there and right there. I seem to recall them being there. Then the torpedo launchers. But what doesn't make sense is on this model, there are none on the top, even though it's clearly shown firing on the top. But I don't know. Some people liked the NX, some people didn't. I personally did. I mean, plus you got the impulse. It's got two sets of impulse engines. One's right here, one right here, which I guess isn't entirely uncommon. The Galaxy class had two sets. Granted, one of them was on the saucer for it to detach. Another interesting thing, I don't remember where I read this, but I read somewhere that the nacelles can be like ejected right along this plane right here, I think it was. I could be wrong. Somewhere that they can be ejected, which explained the extra impulse engines. So I honestly don't know. Again, you got that somewhat capped back here, but it also looks more functional somehow. Anyway, so that's my video on the other Tier 1 ships that you can buy. Again, minus the Steam Runner and the Kumari, I believe it was. Stick around for a little bit, and I'll have some images up of the next round of ships you'll be voting on. Want to help decide what order I cover the Tier 4 ships? Take a look at the following images, vote for your favorite, and I'll start out with the highest rated. We start with the exploration cruisers, followed by the tactical escorts, and finally the long-range science vessels. Vote via the link in the description, and have a great day.